Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today, as you can see behind me here, I got a little bit of a setup and I'm going to show you how I do crimping of wire rope. The small little, well, I'm going to get into it here in a second. I'm going to show you how this is all done. And behind this wall here, I got a project all set up for my, my birds in the wintertime, and it's involving using wire rope cable. And this is all stainless steel. I'm using 1/16 cable today. And I'm going to show you everything I got here. It's all set up. I'm going to do a couple of crimps for you in a way that maybe you haven't seen before. You know, a lot of people have like a big set of crimping, you know, pliers, you know, for doing these crimps. Well, I don't use them because I only use the small little ferrules, the aluminum ones, and you really don't need, you know, great big giant crimping tools. Especially if you've got some tools already on hand. And I'm going to show you a couple of tools that I use that maybe you haven't seen before. And this is the way I like to do crimps. And I'm going to show you exactly the setup outside after. So let's get to it right now, and I'll show you exactly everything on the workbench here that you really, they're very inexpensive stuff, and it's very easy to work with. And you can do this too. Let's take a look. So let's start off with some of the equipment that I use. Now this particular tool here is a hydraulic crimper, and this here was bought many years ago to crimp these for battery connections, you know, like even up to big ones like this. You know, this is the whole idea behind it, but I found that it works terrific for the wire rope ferrules. And you know, when it comes down to doing something, hydraulic is like really easy to operate and use. I mount it in the vise. I'll show you how it's done, and I find it's probably the best way I found for the 1/16 and the 1/8 ferrules. But let's get over to some of the equipment here, and I just got like a little assortment of things I have here, and my wire cutters. This is the 1/16 stainless steel braided cable, and this is the 1/8. I don't actually use anything bigger than that. I find most of the time these two will suffice for mostly all the projects that I use where I need some braided cable. And this stuff here is very cheap. It's like 10 cents a foot, you know, so I mean, it's not expensive stuff. So we just want to take a close look here. Let me see if I can close right in here. So when you're looking at these things, well, they're called different things. They're called wire rope ferrules, aluminum sleeves, cable crimps. You know, in my part of the world, other parts of the world, they're called doohickeys and thingamajigs. You may find a hard time searching for these with them references, but generally you're using a tool that's called a swaging tool or a crimping tool to crimp them. And beside it there, well, you can see it's called a thimble, and that's a stainless steel unit there. Now, there's no universality in these. So here's two that are 1/16. You could tell there's a difference in size, right? Definitely a difference in size. So, you know, even the difference in the width. So you have to adjust exactly what you're doing with the crimper that you're going to use, because yeah, you will find they come in different configurations and different sizes, and they're not all the same, right? And here's the 1/16 braided cable. Now this is just your regular rig that you would use for your flaring tool for making brake line flares, or you know, any other kind of flares in soft tubing. Now this one here, this is just a die I pulled out of my hydraulic press there, and that's for 0 gauge battery cable connectors, and this is for a 1/8 wire, and that's what I use. Now I just go by this particular one, this style. I go with 5/16 diameter hole, and that's what I need. It's a 5/16 diameter hole, and I got a stainless steel thimble there. And I find only on these ones here that I'm going to use today is just a 3/16 diameter. So if we just take a little look at the tool setup here, that is the difference between here and here is 3/16, and that's the after crush zone. So let's crush a couple here, and I'm going to use the first one on the hydraulic, and then I'll go over here to this one and show you how easy it is. Well, I just wanted to show you before we get started, if you just get like one of these cutters, are very inexpensive, and I mean, it just cuts this material, you know, like butter. It goes through there very easy, and you know, these type of style of cutters work terrific, and I would say only for about, you know, the 1/16 and below, or maximum 1/8. Anything besides that, well, you're going to have a hard time cutting through it. And I usually use a cut-off disc, but for today, yeah, these just work great. Okay, so I got you zoomed in there pretty good there. And I just want to show you, I'm just cranking on the handle here just to move it forward. And what I like about using this particular type of crimping device is I can just get it in there until I can get my hands out of the way, until it's positioned in there real nice. You see it's going to level out in a second. And I'm just centering it up here. There, that's in the center, pretty much right there. So you want to crush from this side to this side. You don't want to crush down like I have done before. If you're only holding up a birdhouse or something, you can just hit this thing with a hammer and it'll hold plenty, right? But I mean, for what I've done out in the backyard, I'll show you in a second. So there you go right there. So it's in the vise, and I don't have to fool around with anything. I've only got one hand to operate the lever for the hydraulic device, and I'll just show you. I'll put a loop through here. You go through here. There. Okay, so I went through the loop there and out the other side. Now I'm just going to crank on the handle, and you could see how this is going to crush. And then when I come to the end, I just stop. I mean, now was that easy enough? Now if you wanted to, you could have put the thimble in here, the stainless steel thimble in there if you wanted to, right? But I didn't do that. And, you know, it would be so easy just to put one of them thimbles in, as you could see here. And you would just have it go further in, of course. So let's just take a look and see what it looks like. And there it is right there. I mean, that is a good. Now if I'm going to have something with pull a lot of weight like I have out in the backyard, well, I throw another one on the back side. So let's take a look and see how you do it with the other crimping tool, which is just your regular brake flaring tool. Okay, so this time you can see I just got it in the flaring tool. It's just sitting there in between the two jaws on my vise. Now I'm just going to crank down the handle on the vise, and you'll see it squished together just nice. So let's just take a look here, and you can see how easy it is this to crush. And when it gets down to the end, well, you can definitely tell that it's going to be crushed right in there nice. So let's just go a little bit further here. Okay, did the camera catch that? Because this is the first time this has ever happened to me. I've used that so many times, and it just busted the vise. The vise is just busted. Like, I mean, it just sheared right off from here, right over to here. I mean, it's time for a new vise. Like, I used the cheater pipe, but I wasn't cranking on it that hard. Come on. But I mean, you know, over the years I've used this to pound on and everything else, so there might have been a crack in there. And you could see this is just like pig iron, right? I mean, it's pretty cheap stuff. I think this was a $29 vise. So okay, so let's just take a look at the crimps here. So this is the one in the hydraulic press, which is nice. And this is the one that was in the flaring tool, and you could see how it leaves the serrations all the way around, but that doesn't matter, right? I mean, it depends. If you're just hanging a birdhouse, who cares? I mean, years ago I used to just take them little ferrules, put them on the end of the vise there, and just give them a good smack with the hammer, and that was it. It was done. So let's go outside and let's take a look what I designed this for. Okay, so we're going to start up at this end here, just on the edge of my garage, and as you can see, all I have is one of them turnbuckles. And I've got some 2 pieces of scrap aluminum angle, They're 1.5 inch. Drilled 2 holes for the screws, 1 hole for the turnbuckle, and as you can see, I've got 2 aluminum ferrules on there with a thimble, and that's just pretty much it. So let's go to the other side that's attached to the shed in the backyard, and it's about 50 feet away. Okay, can any of you see that wire? Now I'll tell you something about that wire. 1/16, you could hang 100 pounds off of that all day long, and the breaking strength is about 500 pounds. So I mean 1/16 is more than enough. So let's just take a look here, and that is the exact same thing at the other end, and it's very easy to do. So let's go back here and let's take a long shot at what I got hanging off of this and what's the reasoning behind this. Well, there you go right there. I mean, can you see that wire? Nah, you can't see it, and it's almost 8 feet off the ground. And the whole idea behind this is just to hang a couple of bird feeders. And at the top of the loops here, I just pushed in some hose, and it's like a really rubbery kind of hose, so it won't slide along the wire, and it just hangs like this. Now I can reach up there myself and unhook them, and that's the whole idea. Is I got my suet feeder here, well, I won't have it as close, and my bird feeder. Now I don't put the bird feeder up until I see some snow on the ground, but that was the whole idea behind it. And guess what? Squirrels can't walk along a 1/16 wire. Man, you can't even see it anymore now, can you? So that's the project of the day. Well, thanks for joining me here today, and well, it looks like I'm buying a new vise, right? So I mean, yeah, it doesn't know me nothing after 30 years. So I would say that this little project that I did today, anybody could do with very simple tools. I figure the total cost of this would be around $12. So, you know, it's all low-cost stuff. And everything is all stainless steel. And I would say give it a try. I mean, the 1/16 wire is super strong. You go up to the 1/8, like it won't break till almost 1,800 pounds, and you can hang 400 pounds off the 1/8 all day long. But the 1/16 is so easy to work with. A lot of people just use a pair of hand, pliers just to crimp them with. But yeah, it's hard on my hands, so I use the hydraulic press. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some interesting things that I do that I hope you find interesting too. Cheers.